Obviously, 90% of the time that they're active and 90% of their life involves thinking about food and hunting, finding something to eat. Now, in the wild, there's always a reason to be flying. And that can be finding shelter, finding a mate, going round their territory, making sure other birds aren't coming in trying to pinch their dinner. But I say at 90% of the time is when they're looking for food. So the same thing applies here with us. Everything has to be about a food reward. But the difference is that when you know that somebody's coming to feed you every day, you don't have the day-to-day worry of it. So, with that in mind, because they live such a more stress-free lifestyle, they live 3 or 4 times longer in captivity than what they ever would in the wild. So obviously this is a big owl species. It's called a Siberian Eagle Owl. They're the second largest owl in the world. And in the wild, they live on average about 15 years. But in captivity, we expect them to live 40 to 60 years quite comfortably. So, for instance, actually, this bird here, I bred her here 10 years ago. And Minerva's mum and dad live here. When you go down this side path, the third aviary down has a pair of Siberian Eagle Owls in it. And Minerva's dad is actually the oldest bird here, and he's 40 this year. Now, because they live so much longer, we don't have to think about what we're going to do with them while they're here. Because, see, in most cases, dad. There are some aviaries where both parents will sit in, like the barn owls, where both mum and dad will sit in the nest box together. But in most cases, mum does all the incubation in owls, and dad's the one that you'll see sat out. So, for instance, the little indoor bit that you see, apart from the lilac-breasted rollers, all the other owls in there are all sat on eggs. So, the white-faced owls, the Indian Scops owls, the western screech owls, the Bruin owls, they've all got eggs, so you probably only see one bird sat there with them. So that's their sort of job, that's what happens. So everybody around the centre all has a role to play, being either, say, part of our flying display team.
For lots of different reasons, lots of adaptations that the Harris hawk has that allows them to do this sort of thing. One of the reasons is that they have a very large prey range. They eat a lot of prey. Now this allows them to do more. sparrowhawk recently has been doing really well. Now this is because of us. Because as a nation, we are a nation of bird lovers. We love songbirds especially. So we have built in bird feeders in our gardens. I know a lot of you probably have one, and that is ideal for a sparrowhawk. Parabutia means buzzard larker. So they're unaware of any predators that may be coming along, so the sparrowhawk can just pick one up and fly away. We've basically made a drive-through for the house for the sparrowhawk even.
Now, when you walk around the collection, if there's a bird that makes a noise at you when you're stood looking at it, generally that's a species that's been hand-reared. And so now, ultimately, it doesn't think it's a bird, it thinks it's a person, and potentially you're the parent coming to the nest as far as they're concerned. So, what normally happens in their first season is we try to get them sort of used to all the different jobs. We've got to try and build their fitness to get them capable of doing all the jobs. But on top of that, obviously a lot of the different jobs we do can be a bit scary. The easy one is like our experience days, where it literally just sits on a post and flies to somebody's glove, a fairly simple flight. We're not really asking it to do anything too extravagant. But then demo's a bit of a different story. You've got obviously different amounts of people. Some crowds are a bit rowdier than others.
Estimates of what time they come out in the day, because it can change, especially say barn owls. You can see them dusk and dawn this time of year because they've got chicks. really enjoy, but you might not. So, barn owls' diets, they contain 1% domestic rodent. Now, if you don't know what a domestic rodent is, it's a hamster or a gerbil. So if you've ever lost a hamster or a gerbil, well, you know for certain where it's probably gone. In the belly of his. So I'll do one more. See, I think he knows it's the end. He knows the drill. Right, he knows if he can nick another one and then fly off, he can have another. He's cheeky like that. So I'll let him finish and then I'll go pick him up. Are you done? He's milking it now. There we are. Come on in.
And then we have this bird called the Red-legged Seriema. Now, what makes a raptor is A, diet, B, how they hunt prey. So, 2 points. A bird of prey, purely carnivorous, only meat eating. The non-raptors are generally omnivores. So something that eats a mix of different types of foods. Now, if the weather had been a bit kinder to us, and we'd have been outside, the first thing this bird does normally is she runs off and eats all the dandelions. And in the wild it would eat a lot of like juicy weed tops and fallen fruit and berries, sometimes seeds and nuts, because it's an omnivorous bird, as is the raven, the kookaburras, the frogmouth and the voles. So, that's one of the differences that makes it a non-raptor. The other are their weapons for hunting. Now you'll notice that even with the little kestrel and the barn owl, we had a glove on to protect our hands because their talons are sharp. But it's not actually that bit that does the damage. The bit that does the damage is the grip of their foot. So when they come to hunt prey, they swim up behind it, 1 foot round its head, 1 foot round its neck and squeeze. And it's the grip of the foot that kills. With those flat feet, something that it can do. Hold on, I need to shut my door. We're not going outside. I can just shut my door. So, having flat feet means it can run quite quickly. They can run at 15 to 16 miles an hour when it has to chase its food. They can also jump to over 8 feet from a standing position to grab things out of trees. Now, when we look at it, it looks a bit like a road runner with leg extensions. And that's sort of what it is. It's quite Jurassic in a way. They're very closely related to the terror bird. And the cool fact about Seriemas is that they actually, in the wild, look for their main diet being snakes. Now snakes are tricky, they can be poisonous, they can be venomous, or they can be quite easy from a bite from a snake. So the Seriema, without any weapons, has had to figure out how to deal with snakes. I have a rubber snake to show you what they do with them. So if we launch that down there, you'll see they run up behind it. Basically what they do, you put it back down, pick it up.
Oh.
They pick it up and beat 10 bells out of it. That is how you deal with snakes. Remember that she's got no method of being able to kill it otherwise. Remember that she's got no power in her feet to be able to grip. Her beak isn't that strong. So whereas like the kookaburras or raven have a long, hard, stabby beak to be able to actually kill prey with that, the Seriema can't do that. Her beak is quite soft and quite delicate. It's designed for getting into weeds and fruits. We know an owl is nocturnal. Some owls are nocturnal, as Evie was just telling you about the barn.